Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. All right, guys, I am here with Nick Gromicko of Internachi. How you doing this afternoon, Nick?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. Nick and I, we had a heated exchange the other day about his new program. And in all fairness, I will tell you, Nick has a fantastic organization. Internachi has lots of training. It's a fantastic value. I've used it. He and Ben, the videos. I mean, I've used all that stuff for training, the articles. It's good stuff. I don't have any problem with Nick. It's no secret I'm not a fan of this new program, which we're going to talk about today. But I'm certainly going to give Nick an opportunity to explain it, and maybe he can change my mind.
Thanks, President.
Oh yeah, no problem. And
you guys still use our training, I think, right? I mean, you guys are still members.
I think so. I don't know. I was like, did you kick me off after the other night? I hadn't been on there.
No, my God.
No. Well, in all fairness to Nick, he didn't get the questions that I'm going to ask him. So he's answering from stage, so he didn't get them ahead of time. And so that's kudos to him for doing that. Nick, is it all right if I give you just a little bit of backstory to what brought me to maybe the distaste I have? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's go back about a month ago. I'm rolling along. Everything's fine. Business is going well. And I get this review. Guy blows me up. Says, oh, man, you sold my information. All these people are contacting me, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, what the hell? And so I started doing a little research about it. And I had been using Han, that app, and everybody had liked it, the app that people can download, and they get, the people are familiar with it, that you can give it to your clients, and they ask a question, take a picture, and it'll be answered. Love it. Everybody loved it. But apparently they sold the porch. I found this out, and, I don't want to I'm just telling you the facts. I'm not trying they eat them up, like, with a whole bunch of offers and stuff, and this guy's ticked off. And that was clicked on my ISN. And so I'm like, whoa, let's click that off. That's bad. So I was a little preordained to what the heck is this porch? The first time I'd ever even heard of porch. And then 2-3 days later, the whole porch ISN thing went down. And, I'm sure everybody who listens to this is an inspector, and they're familiar with that. So, yeah, I mean, all that story, and obviously, the whole drama around that. So, we might get into that or not, whatever. But, that didn't go so well either. Eventually there was an opt-out. And then, I don't know what exact time frame was, but a little bit later, you announced that you had some connection, bought stock. I'm not exactly sure. There was something with porch. I'm like, Nick, what the heck are you doing? And I'll give you an opportunity to answer that. And then, this free inspection thing came. And that's sort of where I'm coming from to give you the backstory so you can understand, I'm not been put up to that. That's just my thinking and where I'm coming from. But I'll give you the floor now, Nick, and tell us about it and tell us, what's good about it.
So, you've touched on more than one subject, which have no connection between them. So let's talk about the data first, because that's really important in our industry. So Internachi has more data, collects more data about inspectors and about their clients than I think anyone. We have our online agreement system, which is used thousands of times a day. We have Fetch Report, which gathers, report information to upload. And we have the buyback program, which captures information. We have a lot of information about inspectors themselves,
Sure.
and all of that data people want. And for many years, and for many years to come, there will be vendors out there who try to purchase that data from InterNACHI. And in our entire history, we've never sold any data at all. We've never given it out. We've held it. We've maintained it. No one's been able to crack into our databases to get it. It's all been held and protected very well. And in fact, if you look at InterNACHI's website, which is a monster 280,000 page website, one of the largest websites on the internet, has 25 million unique visitors. I think it has 3.4 million backlinks to it alone. I mean, it's just an absolute monster website on not just in our industry, but on the internet anywhere.
Right.
But if you go to our website, and you can imagine that there are all sorts of vendors in the industry and outside the industry that have offered us crazy money to exploit that website, to even run one banner ad. But you can't find that on our website, and you never could. If you go to our 1.7 million post message board, or any other page of any other of the 280,000 pages, you won't find a single banner ad even anywhere.
Okay.
So not only does InterNACHI never sold any data, it doesn't even sell advertising to vendors. It just doesn't sell anything.
Right.
And over the years, that would have added up to many millions of dollars. We've turned all that down just to protect you, to protect your clients, and to protect your experience when you're on our website. So I just want to get that right off the bat. That's not our style, not our method of operation to do anything like selling data. We're not in that world.
Right.
Never will be. There's plenty of message boards out there that are just packed full of ads. And the reason they're unpopular might have something to do with that. I don't know, but our message board and our website doesn't do any of that.
Right.
So, Porch, that's a totally different subject than you invited me to come and talk about today. I'm happy to talk about it. Now that you brought it up, I'm not really prepared for it, but, Porch bought Han, as you said, and you had a bad experience with that.
Right.
They came in, they started harassing your clients and stuff like that. Porch then bought ISN, as we know, and that's actually when the hairs on my back stood up, and I got nervous.
Right.
I got nervous because a lot of my members, and I was pushing ISN, a lot of my members have their consumer data go through ISN, and I got nervous. And I don't think anybody who knows me in this industry is surprised at the fact that the first thing I did is counterpunched. So I came out, and certainly on InterNACHI's message board and Facebook posts saying I'm totally opposed to this. I didn't like it at all. But complaining about something really isn't my style either, unless I'm doing something about it. So they bought a part of ISN. I went out and bought a part of Porch. So, at first the CEO wasn't happy about that. I end-rounded him a little bit. But the CEO of Porch and I have become friends because I used what leverage.
Matt.
Yeah. I mean, we're friendly, not everything is fine, I would say. I mean, we're in totally different worlds. Porch is likely going to become a billion-dollar company. And when I look at one of my events, maybe even with 60, 70 vendor booths, and I added up on a napkin, I realized that they could probably buy our whole industry for about $65 million. Almost a rounding error in their world. So that makes me even more nervous.
Me too.
So,
Me too.
you start buying up every vendor that could would lose our industry, basically. So, as many of you know, I'm a boxer throughout my life, and so I counterpunched. I bought a piece of that. And that led to some, at least some dialogue with them. It allowed me to, and actually Matt became very gracious, allowed me to look at everything that's going on in Porch. As a stockholder, I now had a right to. I have voting rights in the company. It's a privately held company. They're not going away. For those of you who think, oh, well, let's just ignore Porch. That's just a silly strategy. Like I said, they're likely going to be $1 billion company. Lowe's owns about a fourth of them. They already bought two vendors in our industry to say, well, let's just ignore them, not do anything with them. Don't have any transactions with them. I think that's just a strategy that would not work.
Right.
So I bought a piece of Porch, and I worked with them to get in. They've also put me in positions at Porch. I'm in charge of any consumer who had an InterNACHI member as their inspector. If they complain at all about anything, that complaint goes to me first. Mm-hmm. So that's what I wanted. I also wanted,
I do have two
no
questions.
No more opt-outs. I want them all opt-ins.
Right.
I also wanted to be on an advisory committee for how they handle privacy and data. And Matt was gracious enough to grant me all of those. Mm-hmm. And so the thing we've recently figured out how to do is, because I don't want anybody accusing me of saying, well, you invested in Porch to make a killing, and you now have some conflict of interest or financial interest in helping Porch.
That's what I was going to ask.
So, so yesterday, our CPA, Jeff Cohen, is also a lawyer himself, and he's very large accounting firm and a CPA. He figured out a way, along with Matt, that would allow me to keep my voting rights within Porch, but give my stock to either InterNACHI, the Master Inspector Certification Board, or charity. It's going to have to be a pure gift. I won't get anything in return for it. So I basically lost all my money. But what I have retained out of that is that I've retained my voting rights with inside Porch, and my ability to see what's going on, and the latitude that Matt has graciously given me to make sure that my InterNACHI members are safe. So that's sort of the Porch story, I guess, at this point. We're going to try to work on some other things we can do with InterNACHI and Porch that doesn't cause my members any problems, and it doesn't harm their clients at all. Whether we'll be able to succeed at all that, I don't know. But as I said, that's a completely different issue than the one you asked me to come on this podcast for today.
Sure. And I don't mean to get you off. I just want to frame up the background of this. So I appreciate it. So tell us about the free pre-listing inspections.
Okay, that's separate from Porch. Porch has really nothing
Nick,
nothing to do with it.
I do have 2 or 3 questions from that. Do you want me to ask those now before we move on?
Sure.
Couple of things, and I'm just going to be the devil's advocate here. Couple of things. I hear what you say, that you're doing it for your members and the home inspectors to have voting rights. Obviously, as you mentioned, somebody could look at it a different way, like that you stand to gain a lot. And I think, is it true that they're going to have an IPO, what is it, initial public offering, Porch
yes.
At some point?
I'm guessing that that's probably going to happen, not for probably 2 years or 3. but that probably would happen eventually.
So you're
I think
telling
that's
me
the game plan.
that your shares that could be potentially worth a lot of money are going to charity?
No, they're only going to charity if our CPA can't find a way to for me to give them to either InterNACHI or to the Master Inspector Certification Board, and I'm confident that they will find a completely legal way for me to both do that and to maintain still my position in Porch. It's very odd. I want the power of ownership in Porch without the financial conflict of interest. And so Porch's attorneys and CPA is working with our attorney and CPA to come up with some agreement that allows me to not lose my position at Porch, but to absolutely give away my financial position. And when I do that, just like I do with every other thing that happens at InterNACHI, as you know, and as anybody who's hung around InterNACHI knows, I take those documents and I put them right online for all to see. I've had a lot of ways to monetize InterNACHI, and I really haven't. We haven't done any of that. Like I said, when you go to InterNACHI's website, you can't even find a banner ad.
Right. You mentioned your CMI, your charity. Is it a board or they have a board? Is there a way to find out who's on that board? And I apologize, I haven't been on the website in a while, so it may be on there. A complaint that I hear about, your organization is I'm just going to tell you, the complaint is it's a dictatorship and that there isn't a board. And you mentioned a board, so who's?
So those are two different groups, and I think most people care about InterNACHI. That's the monster group in the trade association, certainly the largest by far. It's the first trade association actually in the world, in any industry, that wrapped the planet Earth. I mean, we're in 65 countries now, 9 languages. 1,400 governmental approvals and accreditations. So with InterNACHI, I'm not going to say it's a dictatorship, but there is some truth to the fact that I basically lead InterNACHI in a lot of ways. I founded InterNACHI and I lead it. If you want to call that a dictatorship, I suppose there's some truth to it. But I would say that we have a board of directors. Joe Ferry has been a board member forever of InterNACHI. Chris Morrell, our CEO, is certainly a board member of InterNACHI. I'm a member of the board of directors as well. So we have a board of directors, but most of the decisions and the path we're taking boil down to a call on my part. So I don't think it's a dictatorship, and the reason is because every member gets a vote. They get a vote every year.
Right.
And this is one thing I have to emphasize to my staff almost at every meeting. I don't really care, and I get a staff report every morning. I don't really care how many people join InterNACHI every day. I only care about how many didn't renew.
Right.
That number better be pretty small, or it might be 0 or 1 or 2 every month. In other words, people who didn't renew says everything. Renewal rate is everything.
Right.
I can sucker almost anybody into joining InterNACHI. If you give me 20 minutes with somebody on the street, I'll have them signed up to InterNACHI. Signing someone up for the first year is not hard.
Right.
in any association. So I don't want to be judged by our recruitment tactics or anything like that, because we don't really have any. What I want the InterNACHI to be judged by is how members vote.
Right.
And every year they vote with their feet and their money, and they decide whether to renew or whether to not renew. And largely, you're correct. It's a vote about Nick Gromicko and what he's doing, and whether his decisions were right, and whether InterNACHI provides value to its members. I mean, I'm very proud of one page of InterNACHI. Out of the 280,000, one page is to me is I'm as proud of that as I am almost of my children. I mean, it's nachi.org/benefits.
Right.
That page, which is all with that long list of really valuable competitive advantages that we provide InterNACHI members, is what helps them vote each year.
Right.
When you get an invoice in the mail from InterNACHI, and we ask you for a lot of money every year, I want it not to be a tough decision for you.
Sure. Do you have, what is it? Is it approximately 25,000 members? Is that correct? Or
No, we have just under 21,000 in the U.S. and Canada. Now, we have members all over the world, but they don't pay dues.
Okay.
Or they basically pay dues that are so little that we lose money or don't make any money on them. They're just work. I can't really count a person who isn't paying dues as a member.
Right.
But in the U.S. and Canada, we have just under 21,000 due-paying members. So we have about $10 million in due revenue a year, which comes in. And InterNACHI didn't get so big by selling data, selling banner ads, screwing over members, making them upset, making their clients upset, or making we're not an association that just sits down quietly, and it's not just a logo for your website.
Sure.
I mean, InterNACHI's, as I said, nachi.org/benefits are real benefits, real savings, real money, real ways to grow your business, real ways to increase your gross revenue, your net revenue, real ways to get more clients, real ways to help you succeed.
Right.
And those are worth the membership dues many times over. I can show that over and over again, and don't take my word for it. Ask more than 20,000 of your fellow home inspectors what they think about InterNACHI, and more than 20,000 of them continue to renew every year.
Yeah.
InterNACHI didn't get big by asking people to join.
Yep.
It got big by holding on to them once they joined.
Yep. I renewed mine
and inspectors inspect for a living. I mean, you inspect for a living. I'm not going to fool you.
Right.
They say you could trick somebody some of the time, or whatever that saying is. I'm not going to trick an inspector. Inspector inspects for a living. We have to actually, as staff, I tell staff all the time, we have to earn our members due money every day of the week. Every day we have to earn that money.
Okay.
If they're going to give us, a few $100s to join InterNACHI, we have to make sure it's well worth it.
Right. I renewed mine. I've been a member for 10 years. I have no problem with InterNACHI. I think it's great value. But
there are other associations that have come and gone in the past that ran traditionally. They maybe had more voting about who's the officer and stuff like that. And there's something to be said for that, I suppose. I don't think if I ran against anybody that there's any chance I'd lose. But, we could go through the motions, I suppose. But what's the point? The point is that InterNACHI puts food on your table. That's the point. And puts way more food on your table than it takes in little crumbs and membership dues. And as long as that continues to be even a better and better value each and every day, I think that more and more people are going to keep their InterNACHI membership, and I think that it's going to grow more and more.
All right. Well, let's move on to, like I said, I don't have a problem with InterNACHI. I'm not a fan of this program. I'll give you an opportunity to convince me, but you got to give me an opportunity to ask questions, not my own questions and others that have some issues with this. But before we do that, I do realize I need to fill in a hole here. I think most everybody listening knows Porch is a company that sells leads. They sell contractor leads. We never made that clear. And like you said, they're connected with Lowe's, 25% or something in that range, just for information, because I don't think we ever said that. But anyway, so Nick has this program, free pre-listing inspections, where he's going to come in and do a free pre-listing inspection and sell for $39 downloads. And Nick says it's good for the industry. It's good for inspectors. I don't feel that way as of now, but I'll let him explain it, and then I will ask my questions. So tell us about it, Nick.
Well, let me ask you a question. How many sellers have called you this week clamoring to have you come inspect the home they have listed or are about to list? You're a big company, right? How many inspectors do you have first?
20.
You have 20 inspectors, so you're doing a lot of business. How many of those were sellers who called you and asked you to come do a listing inspection?
I'd have to check. I mean, I'm a little removed from the day to day, but I mean, I've had a few. I'm
it's
sure
not many.
I'm sure you're going to say this is going to do more. So go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically not many. So the purpose of free listing inspections, the secret purpose of it, I guess, to capture some attention on a podcast, it has nothing to do with inspections at all. Zero. It's the purpose of doing free listing inspections, the free part, so we'll just divide it up. The reason it's free is because sellers in our industry generally don't call as often as home buyers. They don't call your phone, ring your phone, say, hey, I'm selling a house. I need it inspected. Mm-hmm. Most of the calls you get are from buyers who are saying, I'm buying a house. I need it inspected.
Right.
I think we should be on two sides of this transaction for the first part. But we can't get those seller inspections easily, and we need them. But we need them for a different reason than just the fee. And the way we can get them is to offer them for free. If we offer them for free and we incentivize the agent to give them to us, we're going to get them. So we have to do a couple of things at once to get the program to at least jumpstart. So that's why they're free. If that helps at all.
Well,
but the pre-listing inspections have nothing to do with the inspection itself. It's only, the purpose is to only generate a product. It's a mechanism to generate a product.
Right.
And the product is then used to capture home buyer leads.
Right. I want to ask you a question on one thing you said. You said you want to incentivize agents to use it. When we were going at it on the Facebook, you said that you're selling buyer, when somebody downloads that, you're selling that lead as a buyer. My question is, if I talk an agent into doing this and having this as a listing, every time somebody buys that report, then you're selling that to a new potential agent. That's going to piss that agent off that I talked into this, because if she had an open house, that would have probably been a buyer they would have gotten. You see what I'm saying?
Well, right now, what is going on, and I was a realtor for a long time. Mm-hmm. Right now, what's happening is that people surf the internet when they look for homes. And a lot of the contacts they made are junk leads, because they're just someone who is really not serious about buying, doesn't qualify, or it's just really looking around, not a real serious buyer. What changes, what screens out serious buyers from, I would say, internet surfers is an act, and that act being the act of them opening their wallet. So when a home buyer, a potential future home buyer, opens up their wallet and spends, and I'm not sure if it's $39 or $9.99 or $1, but if they open it up and spend, let's say, $9.99 to look at a report, that changes everything. That future home buyer moves from just being an internet lead, which a real estate agent has to work, and they have to sometimes work dozens of them to get one really true client. But that changes it. When they open their wallet and they spend, let's say, $9.99 and look at a report or something, that changes them and puts them into a different category, into a very hot, boiling lead. But it's not just a lead for the real estate agent, and that, of course, is how we're going to extract the value out of it. But it's also a lead through the home inspector as well. So if your report was downloaded 20 times, at least 19 of those people, and maybe 20 of them, aren't buying the house that you inspected. Only one person at most can buy the house.
Right.
So the other 19, and maybe all 20, what are they at that point? They are people in your neighborhood, as in your market area, that are about to buy a home, looking for a home, serious about looking for a home, even downloading reports of homes in your neighborhood, who all have one thing in common. They're about to hire a home inspector. And so what I've effectively done with this program is I've taken the robust report that you generate as a home inspector with your logo on it. Of course, your name is on your home inspection reports, and your contact information is on your home inspection reports. And I've dropped it into the hands of 20 consumers in your area, your market area, who are about to hire a home inspector. The value of that target marketing for you, I can't even add it up. Right. How valuable that would be to you to do. On your way home today from your office or whatever, you'll pass signs where you'll see homes for sale. People who are selling homes announce that they're selling homes. In fact, that's why one of the reasons they do pre-listing inspections. Right. But nobody knows who is thinking about buying. Okay. Even the real estate agent who has that buyer under an agency contract isn't allowed to reveal that. Okay. There's nowhere you can go. You can't go to Zillow and see a list of buyers. So that's how important for me to take a sample of the inspection report that you produce as a professional and drop it in the hands of 20 buyers in your local market all about to buy a home and all about to need a home inspector. I wouldn't know how to do it if you gave me $1 million, Preston. Give me $1 million. I said, hey, Nick, take a sample of my report and give it to 20 buyers in my area, all who are about to hire a home inspector.
Sure. All right.
I'm pretty good at marketing. I couldn't do it. This program does exactly that.
Okay. Well, I got a couple of questions from that for sure.
It's one of the many advantages.
Right.
By the way.
You mentioned extracting value, and I definitely want to talk about that. In your example, you said 20 people buying it. And in a smoking hot market, if the house is priced right, that would happen. But we all know that some sellers overprice their house, and you're not going to sell anywhere near that many reports. And some markets just aren't hot, so you're not going to sell anywhere near that. So I definitely want to come back and circle back to extracting value of how, we're going to pay. And, I'm just asking for transparency. That's all. I'm not trying to be, a peckerhead or anything. I want transparency so that when I explain, if you want us to sell this to realtors, we have to be able to tell them everything all the value that's going to be extracted, and because I don't want to get blown up like I did in the beginning of my story. When somebody gets bugged and they didn't know it was coming, they're rightfully upset. So I want to circle back to that. But let's go back to if 20 people buy.
Why don't we just address it right now? So when someone downloads the report, and we know they're a really hot buyer, they open their wallet to look at an inspection report. And maybe because they want to see more about the home. Maybe they've already looked at it, who knows? Or maybe they're, online, they looked at it.
Well, it could be out of state or something like that.
It could be out of state. It could be in a very expensive home. I mean, $10 is not going to be anything to a buyer of an expensive home. And to tell you the truth, Preston, all homes are expensive to the person buying it.
Right.
So maybe it's, and again, maybe it's $39, maybe it's $1. I don't know what the price point is, but the price point has nothing to do with making money like a normal price point does. It has to do with getting qualified leads.
Right. But you've got to pay a local inspector to do it, right?
Yeah, we do. We have to jumpstart it that way. There's no other way around it. But you're going to get all these leads, and then you're going to also be able to give them to the listing agent who gave you the listing to inspect. Those are hot real estate leads. She's going to get a couple of buyers under contract thanks to you.
Well, but you said
That's really big.
You said
that's
in
huge.
The Facebook post that you were going to sell those leads.
Well, we could certainly monetize them to fund the your fees eventually. But I know where I'm going to get the money from. I'm going to get it from your listing agent. After you do these once for free, and you deliver your listing agent a couple of really hot leads, once you start feeding her family, she's going to have you do it again. If it's successful, she's going to have you do it again. And the cost of your fee to do the listing inspection, it's going to get paid for by somebody. Because that agent's going to be pushing you to do it. I just can't get it off the ground that way. I have to jumpstart it like anything, like a snowball. And then you have to push it first to get it to roll. So I have to pay for them at first. But it won't take long before the agent says, holy heck, when I use Preston, I got 10 home buyer leads out of this. Because at the end of every inspection report, I'm going to put something. I'm going to ask a question. Remember, I'm not milking the data out of the report itself. I'm trying to get the data from the person who downloads the report. This is the part inspectors are sort of not grasping. There is data I'm trying to capture. It has nothing to do with your inspection report. Your inspection report could be written in Chinese for all I care. The point is I want to know who downloaded that report.
Right. Because
that information is very valuable. And every time someone downloads it, I'm going to ask them a question. I see you've downloaded an inspection report that Preston Sandlin did on 123 Main Street. Mm-hmm. If you're not working with a real estate agent right now, would you like the listing agent from 123 Main Street to contact you to help you with your real estate needs? And when that consumer answers yes, clicks the button, says yes, there's more value in them checking the yes box than it costs to pay for your inspection in full.
So you're saying that you will never sell that to a different agent, only the listing agent that's doing it?
Well, I don't know how we're going to extract the value at this point, but as far as I'm looking at it, I think the value has a sort of a double whammy for us if we somehow feed it back to the agent that Preston
agree with that.
Wants to.
I agree with that.
And the reason is because we want you to do it again and again and again and again.
I agree with what you just said, but if you sell it to another agent, you just committed suicide. I mean, that's why I want to ask you, are you going to feed it back to that agent, or are you going to sell it to another agent ever?
Well, and it may not be for sale at all, Preston. Maybe what we do is we give it to you. It still holds its value, even though no one's paid for that data yet. You now hold it, and you give it to whoever you think you should give it to. And maybe that isn't the listing agent. Maybe it's the next person you're trying to convince to it. Or maybe it's, I don't know what. But I wish I had an answer for you now.
Well, I guess that's
I won't know an answer until the program actually is in force for a year. But we want to extract enough value out of the data from who downloads the report, not from within the report itself. I don't care how old your water tank is, please. The other data that I'm trying to collect, the real data, the real mark, is worth way more than it's going to cost us to do the free listing inspections. And ultimately, you can just figure that out. You'll say, you know what, Mrs. Jane, real estate agent, I get about 3 or 4 leads off every one of these I do. You can ask your friend who's sitting next to you, I would like to inspect your listing too. But now you can say, and I want you to pay the fee.
Well,
because you're holding value that's worth more than
I'm down with that, Nick. If you can promise me that you're not going to sell that lead to somebody else. I mean, you're just going to give it back to that realtor. But let's move on from that.
I can promise you I'm going to do what's best for InterNACHI members. And I don't wear an inspector hat. I just don't. I wish, I mean that's a different person maybe, but it's not me. I'm going to do what's best for InterNACHI members and you. The one thing I've always done at InterNACHI, and you could look at all these programs that we've come up with, is it helps InterNACHI members primarily, first and foremost. It does eventually have to sustain itself one way or the other, and I think the best way to sustain itself is for you to just take the program over after a while. I'll get your first one off the ground, and you'll see it works. Then you go do it.
All right, tell me how that works. I'm banking on $39 10 times.
Okay, well, if you go to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, you'll see that Nick Gromicko's idea isn't patented.
No. I mean, how do I sustain it by extracting value, like you say?
Oh, so first of all, let's say you do a home inspection for a seller.
Mm-hmm.
And that report goes down, it gets downloaded maybe for $10 by 20 buyers, who knows what, right? Each one of those downloads has value in it in excess of $1,000 to the real estate industry. So certainly you can figure out how to monetize it for your own home inspection business. You can just take this to another agent and say, I got someone. They checked the box. They said they want to work with a real estate agent. They're not working with a real estate agent anymore or at all. Here you go. What is that worth to your business? That's a lot. Second of all, net margins are in part determined by liability. On the first one you do for InterNACHI, there's no liability because InterNACHI is your client. InterNACHI is not going to sue its own members ever. This I promise now. No matter what you do, we won't sue you. It just will never, ever happen as long as I'm alive. So the first inspection you do doesn't have any liability on it because I'm your client. The second, third, fourth, fifth reports that go out to people who don't buy 123 Main Street, the property you inspected, have no liability associated with them. If I took a report you did an inspection today, Preston, one of your guys did one on, let's say, 345 Maple Street. If I took that inspection report and stood outside on a street corner and handed it to 1,000 people that didn't buy 345 Maple Street, the added liability to your company is zero. Mm-hmm. The report would be the worst report ever written and all wrong. And it doesn't matter because it went to people who didn't ultimately buy the property you inspected. So this idea that some insurance company is going to get nervous because your report now is going to 30 people who didn't buy the home is just.
Well, let's focus on the person who did buy the house, and let's say it's a millennial, and we already know that some people don't even have an inspection at all. So let's say they bought your $39 report, and I get it that you're the client, but they buy that report and they base their decision on buying that house based on that report. And in North Carolina and some other states, you have to, by law, put your license number and you have to sign the report. What stops them from suing us? Even if they lose, are you going to pay our legal cost? I mean, people will sue you.
Well,
I
think we can certainly indemnify you for anytime you get sued where the plaintiff has no standing. That's an easy kick. I mean, I was kicked that right out of court. It's basically one form almost. This goes back to 1400 AD, Old English law. If someone doesn't have standing, they can't sue you. They have to be your client.
I've been sued 4 times, brother, and every time I didn't think they had standing, but it still cost me a lot of money to win.
Standing is a different thing. It's not the validity or the merit in the claim.
I won each time, but it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about the validity or the merit of the claim. I'm saying that they have no standing to even file the claim. That's on the one person who did buy the house. And by the way, in our download, we're going to tell them that we're going to explain that to them and not only encourage them, explain to them why they need their own home inspection, encourage them to do another inspection, but also incentivize them to do their own inspection. So I think it's going to happen very rarely that someone doesn't do their own inspection and ancillary inspections and all that stuff.
Okay.
But even in that case, they don't have standing, at all to sue you, assuming something was horribly wrong with the report. I mean, you're talking about something that there's a lot of ifs have to occur,
right?
Before that could possibly even be anything you'd even worry about. I'd more worry about. You're in North Carolina, right?
Correct.
So I'd more worry about being bit by a shark and being struck by lightning at the same time, because that's probably statistically more likely to happen.
I don't know, man. I see what you're saying, but there's some crazy lawyers and stuff here. But
and then the other 19 have not only did they not have standing, they didn't even buy the house that the inspection report was written about. So they really can't. I don't see how there's any possible chance they could ever sue you.
Sure.
I didn't hire this inspector. He didn't inspect the house I bought. I'm suing him. I mean, that really is like getting hit by lightning while being bit by a shark at the same time. It's there's less chance of that than, it's zero.
All right.
So on top of that, you get those other 19 leads, which you can work. You can also push through those 19 leads to the real estate agents that will then be very beholden to you and very thankful for that. You then also have a chance since you did the seller's inspection, at inspecting the house he's moving to. So most people move locally, and so that seller has to move somewhere. You'll probably get his inspection and probably the ancillary inspections associated with the inspection on the house he's moving to. You might even get repair verification inspections after the listing inspection. And then you'll having put a sample of the product you produce as a professional in the hands of 19 other people about to buy a home, some of them are going to call you for a home inspection. So there's a lot of value you're going to get out of this. Every which way you slice this up.
Well, speaking of value,
a positive.
You said that, you talked about extracting value, and I did a lot of research on, how could money be made with this thing? A free home inspection and a free listing inspection, and I just made a little chart here. Reports $39 times the number of reports you sell. Some of them might be 20, like you said, but we all know there'll be some that are 2 because they're overpriced or whatever, or there might not be any. People overprice their house; it sits for 6 months. Realtor leads, they're worth about $15 to $20 each by my research. A mortgage lead is pretty stealthy. That's actually $75 to $100. An insurance lead, just off somebody who downloads the report. So are you going to sell or extract value with a mortgage lead, insurance lead of any type?
Well, I haven't really thought about any of that. The amount of value that we need to extract out of the entire program doesn't really even have to cover your inspection fee that we're going to pay.
Right.
Because we're willing to, drop $1.5 million just to jumpstart it for the industry. The industry would get more than we would infuse twice as many inspections into our industry as there exists today.
I guess my thing is
it would be worth a lot of money for the largest inspection trade association in an industry to have. And you're running a podcast today, are you not?
Sure.
Okay, so how are you making money? How have you monetized it today?
Yeah. I got some flyers that I sell for $29 a month. I'm not even going to put that one on here. I have it.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you're not even the founder of the largest inspection trade association in the industry, yet you've just admitted that you do stuff for the industry for free. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, it's not unusual that there's somebody else like you, that somebody would do something for the industry and not monetize the heck out of it. You didn't monetize this podcast today. Plus, furthermore, if you think about InterNACHI, it's got a long history of doing stuff for free. When we announced that all the continuing education you need, including your state, by the way, we even pay the $5 in your state. You know how you have to pay $5. We even pay that for all our members. When we came up with the idea that we're going to provide online continuing education for free, robust continuing education. I'm talking about where we fly subject matter experts in and film them on sets and everything. Online video courses and stuff. We're going to get them all approved all over the place and offer them for free forever. No one called me and said, well, how are you going to monetize that? When InterNACHI does all sorts of things for free. Just look at our membership benefits list. Furthermore, I said Internachi so that I would never be Han. You opened this podcast today talking about Han being bought up, lock, stock, and barrel, right? The owner now works for Porch.
I mean, I guess.
So
All I know is
yeah.
I got blown up, and that's what my research led me to.
Well, that's because they bought him out. So when I founded Internachi, I built it so that it's a nonprofit organization. It's also federally tax exempt, and it never issued stock. So Internachi isn't owned by me. It isn't owned by anybody. It can't ever legally be owned by anybody. There's no stock to own. There's no mechanism by which one could own Internachi. Since it can't be owned, it can't be sold. Since it can't be sold, it can't be bought. So Internachi's founded from the beginning to really last 1,000 years.
Right.
You know, you never have to worry about that. And because it's both a nonprofit and a federally tax exempt org, which are two different things, by the way, it can't make money.
Right.
If it makes money, it has to spend it to provide more free things for Internachi members.
Sure,
and that's how that membership benefits page got so long.
Well,
we're not a vendor.
Let's get back to extracting value. And, you know, so you're going to pay an inspector, you know, his going rate or your calculator. And I guess let me go back to you said that, you know, that when somebody downloads a report, that's a smoking hot lead. It's a realtor lead. It's a mortgage lead. It's an insurance lead. I mean, by the time this thing comes out, are you going to be able to say for sure, is that going to be sold or not? Because if you're asking us to go market this thing for you, we need to know exactly what's going to be sold and transparent, or else we're going to get blown up. Because say that realtor that you gave it to, say they have a good relationship with a mortgage person or an insurance person, and then we sold this lead, we just destroyed that relationship. I mean, I'm just asking for transparency on everything.
So I didn't even, I've not thought of or considered, mortgage or insurance. You brought that up today, but I would think that would be your decision, not mine. You end up with the leads. All we have to do is jumpstart this thing. So if I could give some free, if I have to go buy 1,000 free listing inspections to jumpstart it, to get Preston Stanley to try it, to see it works, and to start not only making money from it, but getting extra inspections from it, getting the seller's inspection on the house he's moving to, getting repair verification inspections, working all the other leads of people who download it, giving some of those leads to the realtors that you want to give them to, that work with your company, Preston, and doing what else? I hope that after you do a few of these, the system becomes Preston Sandlin's system.
Okay,
not ours.
So you're
I'm just trying
me
to jumpstart this thing, get the ball rolling, and then it's up to you.
So you're not going to sell a mortgage lead, an insurance lead, or a realtor lead?
I don't think that's in my best interest at Internachi. It doesn't. I don't see any reason to do it. Remember, the purpose of this whole project has nothing to do with money, as I've shown, and has nothing to do with inspections.
So you're never going to sell.
It really doesn't.
You're never going to sell one of those leads.
I can't foresee me ever doing it. I'm going to say, never's a tough word to swallow, but you might, I would say. But
I didn't even know I was going to have the lead until 2 seconds ago.
If you're running a program starting next week, they're yours. They're not mine. I have no use for them. The purpose of this all has to do with the fact that Internachi has an inspection museum at its Boulder facility. It has the first inspection book from the 20s. It has the first IR camera ever used on an inspection. It's probably worth about $250,000 in today's money. The first battery-operated flashlight from 1898. It's a cool inspection museum. In there are invoices from inspectors, because they sent me their reports from 20 years ago to look at. And their invoices are in there. They're in the report, in the agreement, it says how much they charged. You would think they're today's prices. Our industry hasn't got a price increase in 2 decades. How is that even possible? I'm not even counting inflation. I mean, we're just not going up at all. Well, the real reason is because there's downward pressure on us, because we're not in the driver's seat. We're not in control of our industry. We're really a subset of the real estate industry. And you may say, well, I don't let realtors dictate my price. I don't let realtors dictate my price. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because when they go to your competitor and your competitor lets their price be dictated, it affects your pricing.
I would say the market dictates the price. I know an inspector in Burlington that gets $1,500 in inspection, and they get it because their quality is way high, and they've been doing it a long time. I would say the market dictates, but Go ahead.
There's a large market giant influencer in our industry. It's real estate agents. And I thought, like you too, I thought, well, maybe real estate agents don't, we're not really beholden to them. We don't just, run to them for everything and worry about what they think and all that and market to them. And so I had my doubts, but then I saw your post, Preston, on Facebook, and that changed my life.
Wow.
Because, how much can you have the biggest arms I ever saw in our industry. How much can you curl with one arm?
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Well, can you curl 80 pounds with one arm?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You got the biggest arms in this. I've never seen a guy with bigger arms than you. And when I saw that Facebook post, after I, started introducing this idea I have for next year, the first thing you did with those big arms that can curl 80 pounds each is you ran real quick to see what your real estate agents think about it.
Right. This
is the problem in our industry. We market to real estate agents. We run to them real quick. Now, why? And why did Preston run right to the real estate agents, take a survey, see what they were? Why were you worried, not only worried about what they thought, but then decided to post it because you figured correctly, by the way, that every other inspector is worried what real estate agents think? Why are we delivering bowls of dark chocolates to real estate offices? I'm going to explain why. Is it they can curl 90 pounds with their arms? No, that's not why. Is it they took more training to become a real estate agent? No, I got my real estate license in 10 days. Did they have to know more about more? No, home inspectors have to know a lot about a lot. What makes the world the way it is? What makes the world the way it is? It turns out it's just a timing fluke. They get to our clients before we do. When you're on an inspection with a buyer's agent, you two share that common client. But she got to the client first. It's just a freak, bad luck, timing fluke. And this program changes that. And when we change that, we change the dynamics. And we can all get $1,500 like your buddy does in North Carolina.
Well, I wish. Well, a couple of things. You said on the Facebook that you were, at first you said you weren't, but then there was another post that said you were going to use the report to sell contractor leads. So where do you stand on that now? Are you going to use the report to sell contractor leads or no?
Well, I don't know. Of course, I don't recall saying that. I'm not arguing. I try to answer. Facebook's a funny, goofy thing. Unlike my message board, which is very sequential, right? So for you to post a question on my message board, it comes after all the other posts. Facebook's a little bit different. Guys can jump into the middle of a Facebook thread. I miss it, or I am answering somebody else. And while I'm answering, somebody else posts in between, and they think I'm answering the question from a different question.
There was one that was pretty clear that you
I don't recall that I'm talking about contractors at all in this, other than it is true, and we have to swallow this fact, that part of our business has to, contractors have to come in at some point. When we do a seller's inspection, the next natural step in the process, in the real estate process, which we're a step. I'd like to see us to be 4 steps in the real estate process. I'd like to see us do the listing inspection, the inspection for the buyer, the repair verification inspections, and I'd like to see us generate all the leads for all of it. But aside from that, you have to admit that repairs are part of this process. When the seller finds out he has a few repairs to make, and making those repairs will help him sell his house easier and a more forthright way, which would also this program, of course, also eliminates failure to disclose lawsuits. Somebody has to come in and fix those, and so there might be a way to extract some value there.
Oh,
but I have done
there might
zero.
be. There definitely is. I researched it.
Okay, but
I got the list here.
I've taken 0 steps towards that.
Every lead, how much it costs and how much they pay. In fact, I took one of my home inspection reports and extracted all the value, like you said, with all the leads and all the things I researched. I reached out to contractors. I went on Porch. I went on Home Advisor. Went on House. I went on a couple of other and said, roof lead, pest, carpet, windows, paint, structural repair, plumbing, HVAC, electrical. For every lead, that home inspection came out to be, I did actually 3 of them, and they were all around $700 to $900 worth of value in all the leads that could be totally generated, and including the mortgage leads, the insurance lead, and those variable depending on how many reports you sell, and then all the contractors' leads. So I'm sitting here looking at this thing going, $700-800 worth of thing, and maybe you're right. Maybe home inspectors don't get paid enough, and maybe you're right. Maybe realtors do consider that page. All right, so but the thing is, I think people have to be told if leads are going to be sold, people have to be told. I mean, we live in the age of Equifax and breaching. I guess I kind of have a problem with if we're not telling these people. We go in and say this home inspection's free, and then all of a sudden on the back end we sell all these leads and people are calling them. I have that scenario that I had in the beginning of this thing where I'm getting blown up and I'm going to get a bad review. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Well, then you shouldn't sell those leads then. What you should do
Are
is
you selling them?
Are
you selling them?
No. I didn't even contemplate it.
You're never going to sell a contractor lead. You'll say that right now.
I don't think I want to say the word never, but I will honestly tell you with, swearing on a stack of Bibles that I have not even contemplated that. And what happens is after I jumpstart this is you are doing this. So it's really not a question for me. It was really a question that you should have fed me to ask you on this podcast. Once you are doing this program and have those leads, I can foresee you having no issue with giving those future home buyer leads to real estate agents without causing you any grief with your clients. I could foresee you even going to your seller and saying, look, you need about 5 things done here. I just did your seller inspections. I have a deal, blah, blah, blah. I have some coupons and they give me $50 if you call them. Maybe you want to disclose that to them and do a deal. I don't see how mortgages could be involved at all, or insurance. I've never contemplated that. I don't even know how I would even
I guess here's my issue, Nick.
But what I'm saying is they're your leads. They're not mine. So the question you asked is a great question, but it's a question you have to answer. Right.
Well, that definitely is my question because, I don't like this lead selling stuff and I don't like this data stuff, but it's not whether I like it or not. It's coming. I mean, obviously Uber came along in the time of taxis. I'm sure the taxi drivers didn't like it, but I don't like third parties, looking at this data and say, wow, there's $700-800 worth of data. We could pay somebody $300 to do an inspection, and we could cash in on that $700-800 of data and do that all day long. And we could basically socialize the home inspection industry, and they all work for us. That's what I have a problem with.
First of all, you missed a few points in there. You can do that now. I mean, there's nothing to stop you from hanging up the phone during this podcast, going out, doing a free listing inspection, and monetizing all that data in there, right?
Well,
am I right?
You would have to disclose now. You would have to disclose.
You don't need anybody to help you to be unscrupulous. You can be unscrupulous now all on your own. You don't need anybody's help.
But even if you don't want to be unscrupulous, if vendors get hold of this data and they force it to, and now it's like, I'm forced into something I don't like or believe in, but the value is so great that they're going to control the industry. That's my problem with it.
I'm not here to bash any other vendor who took data that you weren't expecting to have given to anyone else and gave it to someone else. All I can say is, as I've said from the beginning of this podcast, we've never done it and never will do it.
So you will not sell any contractor leads off of the report?
I can't see how it could ever happen. I will say that.
You're not going to sell any mortgage leads, insurance leads, or realtor leads?
I don't know anything about that. So that's not even anything that's even in the on my desk as something to look into.
Okay, so is that a no?
And I'll explain why. Let me explain why.
Is that a
There's
no?
a difference between yeah, it's a no. There's a difference between a mortgage company
you will never sell a
company.
mortgage lead. You'll never sell a mortgage lead.
No, it's not going to help us.
All right, so that's a no.
Difference between
That's a no.
I would say it's a no unless there's some way that it would help InterNACHI members.
Insurance lead. You ever going to sell an insurance lead?
No, how would it be? First of all, homeowners insurance.
Is that a no?
On that I would say no.
All right, so no contractor
the homeowners insurance policies on these things, they don't make any money off of them.
Okay, so it's a no. You're never going to sell it. Okay. And the realtor lead, you're going to feed that back to the inspector to give to the original.
Those I admit. So when someone admits something, you can also make on what they admit they won't do. The whole intent of the program is to generate leads. Now, you may say, what's the difference between mortgage leads? Because you've asked me this question a bunch of times, and I've told you, I haven't given it any thought. So it's hard to be.
Well, if you haven't given it any thought, then it's a no, right? It's a no.
Well, no, it isn't. I mean, there's a lot of things I haven't thought of and contemplated.
Well, if you can't say no, then, that's a yes. It's a yes or no question.
That isn't. My answer is my honest answer, which is on a podcast, a live podcast. You asked me to immediately analyze something that I've never contemplated. I said I've never contemplated, so I don't know how to answer it yet. All I can tell you is the God's honest truth, which is I haven't thought about it at all.
Well,
I am able today to tell you the difference between a mortgage lead, an insurance lead, and a real estate lead, and why the first two are nothing I've ever contemplated. And the third one is the crux of this entire program. And the reason is because tomorrow, which is what is tomorrow? Wednesday or Thursday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow, Thursday, there will be inspectors who deliver boxes of donuts, not to mortgage companies, not to insurance companies, but to real estate companies. There's going to be real estate agents who are calling home inspectors to ask them, how much do you charge for a home inspection?
Sure.
There are going to be real estate agents who are continually capturing our leads, our industry's leads. We're not in our driver's seat of our own industry. They're going to be capturing our leads first. And the reason they get to capture those leads first has nothing to do with the fact that they should capture those leads first. Right. The only reason they're capturing those leads first is over a fluke in timing. It was bad luck for our industry. They get to our clients first.
Right.
So the reason I haven't even thought of any of this other stuff, and believe me, there's thousands of Facebook and message board posts that come up with all kinds of conspiracies, I suppose. All I can do is answer the question honestly. On a podcast here today, I haven't given that any thought at all, so I can't answer your question. And the reason I haven't given any thought at all is because our industry, our inspection industry, is not beholden to mortgage companies. When Preston Sandlin, with his biceps that can curl 80 pounds apiece, when he heard of this program, he ran to real estate agents to ask them what they think. At the same time you're doing that, there's some punk inspector out there who's running to a real estate agent with his little bowl of dark chocolates saying, use me, I brought you dark chocolates today, use me.
Right.
This has to come to an end.
All right.
And the only way it can come to an end is to correct this timing fluke.
All right, so let's take your analogy.
Which is the reason that for 20 years, our industry hasn't had a single pay raise, essentially. When you correct for inflation, in some places, in some markets, our pricing and our fee structures have gone down after 20 years. This is absurd.
So what?
Who is the giant who has their foot in our industry where we are not in control of it, where we have to market to real estate agents, be beholden to them, worry about what they think about a program. Run to them for what they say. Deliver them donuts. No. If you want to solve this problem, if you don't 5 years from now, you're still not going to be charging $1,500 5 years from now. If we don't come up with a problem where, yes, we capture real estate leads. I don't give a darn about the age of the water tank. It's not my business. It's not my industry. I'm not in that world. I'm in the world of fixing this timing fluke. And I've come up with a program that I can financially jumpstart. The industry would gladly take it over. The agents would eat it up, and it would reverse everything. But I got to get that first domino to fall.
All right. So what are you going to pay? You say that the real estate agents dictate the prices and whatnot. So what are you going to pay an inspector to do an inspection? And how are you going to choose them? How are you going to choose them? You got lots of. Let's say you got a town where there's 10 InterNACHI members, just a medium-sized town. There's 10 InterNACHI members. And let's say you got 2 or 3 of those that are really doing well because of a meritocracy. They're good inspectors. They got a good reputation. They've been doing it a long time. So you got 10. They're all InterNACHI members. How much are you going to pay them, and how are you going to decide which one of these inspections, who gets them?
So to answer your last question first, we've already been doing it for many years. I mean, we do all the warranty inspections for Owens Corning, a Fortune 500 company. And we delegate out those inspections every day of the week. So it's heavily based on geography with a few other
most every inspector here will travel all over Charlotte. Geography doesn't matter. If it's anywhere in Charlotte, they'll drive.
So, like, if a home inspection is next to you, I think you should do it. I mean, it's going to be. I would say the fair thing is to base it heavily on geography. I don't know about fees. The only thing I've ever come up with is our online fee calculator. It's default. Maybe that would be a fair thing to use. The default settings of our fee calculator. But let me ask you, but here's the real question is, what does it matter? Think about this, Preston. Right off the bat, you're going to get real estate leads that you can give to your real estate agents that are priceless. You're going to get your home inspection report put in the hands of people in your market who are about to buy a home and about to need a home inspector.
As long as you don't sell those real estate leads to other agents, which you haven't completely committed to. But I agree with that. But let's say
what I'm saying is, why are you worrying about pennies when you're going to get all this massive benefit?
Well, let's say you flip the thing, and now everybody does this.
We're going to double the number of inspections in our industry. We're going to add ancillary inspections, have more opportunity to sell them. We're going to do the inspections on the homes the sellers are moving to. We're going to get repair verification work. We're going to capture leads and fix this timing.
Right. Well,
why are you?
There's some assumptions in what you're saying. There's some assumptions in what you're saying.
Get X or a little bit more than X or a little bit less than X. My answer to you would be, who gives a darn?
Well, I do give a darn, and I'd like you to answer the question. All right. So who gets the? Let's say you've got let's say you've got 8 inspections. Who do you give those to? Out of 10.
Well,
who do you give them to? Let's say now this becomes the industry standard. Everybody does. You revolutionize the industry, and everybody wants to do pre-inspections. So now
they can.
We all work for Nick. So how's Nick going to assign the inspections?
Well, first of all, how do you work for InterNACHI? The only ones we're doing is the jump starts.
You remember that punk you said that's delivering chocolates? How does he get as many inspections as the guy who's been around forever? And in a meritocracy, he gets a majority of the inspections because he's good. You going to give just as many inspections to the punk who used to deliver chocolates as you said? I mean, is that fair?
When I use the word punk delivering chocolates, what I'm trying to emphasize is not the competence of the inspector being bad. There's actually no correlation.
In your scenario, though, the competence of the inspector doesn't mean anything. It's just whoever you decide to give it to. Geographically is the only thing you've said that matters so far.
No, I didn't. I said it's a large part of the algorithm is geography. There's no sense in us sending an inspector far away. But again, you have to remember a couple of things. First of all, we only do this on one inspection. After that, you take over. You do it. Somebody's going to do these. Somebody's going to get these leads. You do them. You capture them. I'm out.
I don't
I'm only
think we can
helping
sustain,
jumpstart them.
at $39 an inspection download. We have to make sure that we're selling 10 or 20 of those to recapture our price. I don't think we can sustain it unless we're selling all these leads. And I'm not sure. It's a messy business, man. It is a messy business. But let me ask you that. I mean, how are you recovering? You're paying that inspector $350 or whatever your calculator says. A couple of questions. How is that raising the price of inspectors? And how are you sustaining that if you're not selling any of these leads? I mean, you're a smart businessman. How are you paying an inspector $400 and they download two reports? You can't sustain that.
So again, you asked two questions in a row again. So, but let me go back to the second question of the last one, which was, this thing about punks delivering chocolate candy.
Your words, not mine.
My words, not my words. The purpose of that statement is that I'm trying to reach these inspectors to remind them that the world is like it is. The reason you have to market to real estate agents has nothing to do with there's no validity to this. The world is as it is only because of these silly bad luck in timing. And so the reason you have to deliver chocolates, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, maybe you do what you have to do to put food on the table for your family. But the reason we are not in a driver's seat in our industry, and instead we have to go give presentations to real estate agents or whatever, it's not because that's the way the world should be. The world is only like this because of a fluke, which I can fix. Now let's get back to your question, which was based on how do you determine who gets them? Is that it?
Well, that, and then also how do you sustain? You keep all right. So you're doing these free inspections. You're paying the inspector $350, $450. If you only sell 2 or 3 reports, how do you sustain that? Keep paying them. I mean, I know you got lots of money, but you can't do it forever.
Well, the plan isn't to do it forever. The plan is for you to do it forever. When did I say I was going to do it forever? The plan is for you to do it forever. They're going to be free, but you take it over forever. As for doing stuff for free.
So are you saying you're going to stop this program?
There's a long history of doing stuff for free.
Are you going to stop this program after a certain time period?
No, I'm not going to stop it. You're going to take it from me.
But how? If we all right, let me back up there. I'm going to take this from you, but you're still going to be doing it for other people? I'm competing with you on the same program? Is that what you're saying or not?
Well, there might be some overlap while I get the snowball rolling, yes, but eventually
you can see how that could be confusing to the consumer, don't you?
No. In fact, I think it's going to, when a consumer goes on one of these real estate sites like Zillow or something and is able to download for $10. I don't know what the price is.
Is that where the reports are going? Are the reports going to go to Zillow?
I don't know. But I have to answer these questions. You're asking them faster than I can answer them.
Have you had any negotiations with Zillow? Has Porch had any negotiations with Zillow?
Yes. But you have to realize these players are huge in our industry.
Is that what
Porch,
is that the end game to put these on Zillow? So is this program connected with Zillow?
It's Energi's end game to get that report in as many places that your potential clients exist, so that we can capture those leads,
including Zillow.
Are you going to let me answer?
Go ahead.
Including Zillow, so that we can capture those leads not only for you, but for your agents, for 2 reasons. So one, for you, for obvious reasons, you make more money, you get more leads. Mm-hmm. The second thing is that we have to fix this timing error, and the way to do that is for us to catch at least some of the leads. And be maybe not on an equal par with real estate agents, but at least get in the ring. Right now, the agents capture our industry's leads first. Wouldn't it be nice if we just at least captured some of them first before they got to them? Wouldn't it be nice? We're never going to get rid of real estate agents calling us up for inspections. But wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we captured some of them?
If this thing gets put on Zillow, do we have control of that from there on, or does Zillow have control of that?
Control of what?
The report.
That makes sense. Well, right now, our home energy reports are going up on on the multi-lists now. The home energy reports that InterNACHI members do with the Department of Education, those are essentially listing inspections, aren't they?
So
or inspecting the house, right?
If
before
you put
it's sold.
this thing on Zillow, can Zillow get that information and then they can sell it as leads? I mean, that's the business they're in. I mean, so you put this home inspection report, $39, whatever, $9.99, whatever you decide to charge for it, and it goes to Zillow, and that's where they're downloading it from. Can Zillow then sell that? You know, you said you're not doing it. How about Zillow? Are they selling those leads? Because they could sell a mortgage lead, they could sell a real estate lead. And you talk about going to agents with gold. You tell them you put that damn thing on Zillow. Dude, you got kryptonite there, brother. They do not like Zillow. I mean, I don't know how that's going to be a gold lead. You say the word Zillow, you want to watch a real estate agent get ticked off. There you go.
Well, do you know why they don't like Zillow?
But you're saying, here's the thing. You're telling me that we shouldn't. Whoa, let me talk for a second.
To your listeners.
You're saying.
Do you know why they don't like Zillow?
Well, hold on.
Do you know why they don't like Zillow?
Because they take their leads and sell them back to them. Gary Keller calls them leeches. They call them leeches.
Bingo. Because Zillow gets to their customer first. So if real estate agents are, like you said, they're furious about this. Why isn't my industry furious about some other industry capturing our clients' leads first?
Okay.
You proved it again. You know what? You've convinced me. I was still 99% sure, not 100% sure. You've convinced me. This is exactly what we have to do. We can't get them all, but we have to at least be somewhat in the capturing of our own clients first before anybody gets to them. If this is the only way that in 5 years we can look around our industry and not see anybody charging $199 for a home inspection and taking 10 of those dollars and buying dark chocolates with them. It's the only way, Preston. You've convinced me.
Okay, so you're saying that. Let me back up. You're saying that we sell that report, we get everything that comes down. It's gold, and we can take those leads to our realtors on one hand. But then you're saying the realtors are bad, and we shouldn't be marketing them, and we shouldn't let them control our thing. But yet, aren't we marketing to them if we're getting these leads and taking them? I mean, isn't that kind of, that's sort of anti? You're sort of anti-realtor, but yet your argument is that we get these leads to. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
So you misquoted me. I never said realtors are bad. I'm a realtor.
I'm a realtor. I have my license.
Okay. So I didn't say that.
Okay. Well, tell me.
I mean, people can rewind this podcast and play it again and again to try to find your misquote of me. But I never said realtors were bad. What I'm saying is it's unlucky. It's unlucky for our industry that we are not in the driver's seat, and that some other industry. It could have been plumbers. It could have been softball team players. But some other industry captures our clients first. Mm-hmm. This is what's bad, not the agents themselves. This is what's bad. If your daughter's softball team got all these leads first, and all of the home inspection industry's leads had to go through some softball team, we would say that is bad as well.
Right.
This is a bad deal for us to not be in the driver's seat in our industry. It is a bad deal. It's the way the world works, and it shouldn't work. There's no justification for it to work this way. It was just bad luck, Preston. It was a timing fluke. Right. In the world of real estate, they capture them first.
Okay.
So until you can get in that game, and I'm not saying we're ever going to displace real estate agents calling you up and ordering inspections. That's always going to exist. But we need to at least be on the field scoring a few points for our team. Our team is the home inspectors. And to score a few points, we need to generate a few real estate leads for them. If they're going to give us a few, we need to be on par with them. We need to generate a few for them. And when we do, since our leads to them are much more valuable to them than anything, we're going to eventually see real estate agents buying dark chocolates and delivering them to Preston Sandlin.
All right, I'm gonna give you a softball here, and then I just want to. I know you got to go. I do want to circle back to one thing. You're saying that we need to, we haven't had a price raise, and realtors determine our price. Am I correct? I don't want to misquote you, but
Right.
paraphrasing.
They don't determine it. They don't say, hey, you have to charge this amount. But as the giant they are inside our industry with their big feet, they apply pressure. Now, they may not apply pressure to Preston Sandlin. Maybe you feel like, hey, I charge what I want. Your buddy who charges $1,500 obviously charges what he wants. But overall, some home inspector out there is going to succumb to that pressure, lower his price, which makes the image that consumers have about what we charge lower on average. Right. That's a fact, Preston. When your competitor lowers his price in any business, it affects you.
Well, speaking of that, a millennial buys this report for $39. And then, like you said, one of the 20 that didn't buy the house, and they go buy another house, and they might use you to do the inspection because, like you said, your name's on the thing, you got that lead, whatever. They decide to use you. But millennial thinking, Facebook's free, everything's for free, and I just paid $39 for that report. Why am I going to pay $628 for your full inspection fee? I just paid the last one for $39. Why is this one so high?
So the explanation for that, the real pit, we do two things. One, we explain to them in the download not only why they can't rely on this report legally, but why they need to do their own home inspection. We also upsell them for you ancillary inspections. We can put in some information about other types of inspections they may want to consider buying when they go and hire their home inspector, and then we incentivize them to do their own inspection with our buyback guarantee. If they use our you said millennials, not me. Millennials love that stuff.
Right.
That's who really loves the buyback guarantee, especially first-time home buyers. A first-time home buyer in a car with a real estate agent looking at 50 homes finds one they love, but just doesn't have the courage to pull the trigger because they know, which is true, they know a truth, which is they could be making a financial disaster, the financial disaster of all time for their family.
Sure. The
buyback program doesn't eliminate, but it helps alleviate a lot of that. We're going to incentivize that buyer into doing their own home inspection by only giving them the buyback guarantee if they go get their own home inspector. If they try to rely on just looking at something else, something the seller said, why doesn't the world rely on sellers' disclosures too? They don't. I mean, people hire home inspectors all the time for a reason. They hire their own home inspectors all the time. They hire all sorts of ancillary inspections all the time. Radon, water, well flow, lead, septic, asbestos, mold, all the time. Stuff that the seller doesn't know anything about his own home.
Well,
and we are really good at helping our consumers decide that they need their own home inspection, they need ancillary inspections, and to go get those.
I mean, the big worry is that now the price of home inspections, home inspections become a commodity, and everybody thinks they're $39. I mean, that's
stupid. If that was true, then they should also be worried about the Department of Energy's energy scoring system, because Internet members are already out there scoring homes. Those scores are going on the multi-list. You can click on them and see what a score is. I mean, does the fact that home energy score not only isn't $39 or $9.99, is totally free to the consumer, does that mean that our guys don't get paid anymore? Somebody has to crawl into that crawl space and do those inspections. They can't sub us out. They can't download us off from a PDF.
I would make the argument.
They can't send us to India.
Right.
Nobody in India can do a home inspection for you in North Carolina.
I would make the argument that an energy score is more of a commodity, like it would be very similar between the two. But I would argue that a home inspection is not a commodity because not all home inspectors are created equal, nor are their inspections. And the fact that we're selling all these reports for $39, the general public thinks we are a commodity.
Since we're having an argument, let's do a proof by exchange. What if they were free? What if sellers paid for home inspections to be done as part of their disclosure, and they were available for free, just like the seller's disclosure is?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't affect it. That only adds inspections to our industry. And then let me just prove it on a small scale. So let's say that you do a home inspection, and Internachi, let's just say, pays you full price to do a home inspection. Right. Even if, on the rare weirdo chance that some buyer says, you know what, I don't care what Internachi says, I'm going to rely solely on Preston's report, even though I didn't hire Preston, and I can't legally come after him for anything. I can't rely on him at all. And I don't want my own home inspection done, and I don't want my own ancillary inspections done. I think I know what the house is like. I'm just going to take a wild chance and not do it. We at least got one inspection, full price inspection out of it, right? Do you agree?
I guess.
That's where we are now. We're only getting one now.
Yeah, I kind of got lost.
Our industry's only getting one inspection per house now.
Right.
That's all they're getting now. Well, so we're even in the worst case scenario where a shark bites you in the waters of the Outer Banks of North Carolina while you're getting hit by lightning. You're no worse off than we are now as an industry. We're only getting one per transaction. Right. We should be getting multiple inspections of every real estate transaction on both ends of every deal, and everything in this world should be inspected all the time.
Right. Let me circle back to you said the mortgage calculators, how you're going to I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to answer my own question because I know how you're going to answer it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. My argument would be, you made the argument that we haven't had a price increase because realtors put downward pressure or something of that nature. And, I'm like, so Nick paying us by his calculator is going to give us a raise? But I know what you're going to say. You're going to say that we're going to eventually take it over. That's just temporary. And then we can raise our prices. How do we know you're going to pay us? I mean, are you going to guarantee that you're not going to do like what they do with appraisers? And they say that, appraisers, they put it up for the lowest bid, and the lowest bid is the person that gets the job. You're not going to do that?
Did I do it with Owens Corning? Does it sound like me? First of all. So, and does it matter? Because let's say I did that. Just, let's say I lost my mind, and that I just decided, I really want to buy back a lot of homes that have really bad problems. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try to hire the cheapest idiot out there to do these inspections so that I have to buy back potentially multi-million-dollar homes. Let's say I lost my mind and actually did what you're proposing. I'm not going to be here long anyway. It's just dumb. I'm very much incentivized just from a internationally from a financial standpoint. We don't want to buy back homes.
Right.
Into finding the good inspectors, paying them well. But I'm also personally, philosophically incentivized. I mean, what am I doing this all for?
Right.
I mean, you know me for a long time. What am I doing this all for? I don't need this headache. I'm doing this because I spotted the problem, and it's not the lowballers. You guys keep blaming the lowballers. Oh, there's a guy in my neighborhood. He charged $199, any house, any size. I'm tired of hearing that. There's lowballers in every industry. If you're trying to find some profession to go into, I don't care if it's pizza, hairdressing, or car sales, or whatever, where there aren't lowballers, good luck, buddy. You're not going to find it. And so quit blaming something that every industry suffers from and will always suffer from. That isn't the problem. That isn't the problem. The problem is we're not in control of our industry.
Right. Well,
some other group is.
Right.
And it's even more ridiculous. They have no right to be. I'm not saying. I never said that was your quote. Agents are bad. They have no right to be in control.
No. I didn't say they were bad. I said your general whatever. But we'll scratch that. Neither one of us said that. All right. Well, you said that you're going to get us to market that to realtors. Which, whatever. Here's what I think it needs to work. Now, you can agree or disagree, Nick. Full transparency of where the value is going to be extracted. Are you willing to put in writing the exact things that will be sold, or either you or Zillow or whoever? I mean, what client's information is going to be sold about the house, about the realtor, the mortgage, the insurance, whether it's you or it's Zillow or it's Porch, which you own stock in. Can that be fully transparent and in writing of what exactly is going to be extracted?
Preston. So there's a nice little shot at me at the end.
No, it's not a shot.
I'm just gonna keep calling
Nick,
you out
it's not a shot. If I'm going to go market this to realtors that I have a good relationship with, I can't have them get blown up like I got blown up on the whole Han deal. I need to know exactly what's going to be extracted. It's not a shot.
Preston, I'm not answering a question where your premise is ridiculous. So let me ask you a question. How did you come to know? By what means did Preston Sandlin come to know that Nick Gromicko owns a piece of Porch? I need you to answer that question, or I swear to God, I'm hanging up, Preston. I'm done with this. Answer that question.
You put it on Facebook.
Okay, so there you go. Does it sound like someone who's secretly capturing data from inside your
great.
inspection
So
report?
you have no problem putting it in writing.
Preston, and selling it to Porch because I secretly am a stockholder? Does that sound like a good idea for me to go 4 hours after we signed the documents? 4 hours afterwards, I went straight on the Internet message board and straight on Facebook and told everybody that I did this. You said that you found out because I disclosed. So do I sound transparent to you?
So you'll put it in writing. You'll have no problem. I just want to know what's going to be sold where so I can present this to my realtors. I don't want any surprises.
I don't know, and I would never surprise you, but I do know that there's value in these leads that we have to start capturing, that I want you to use them for the benefit of Preston Sandlin and his family, and that's as transparent. I do everything in a very transparent way. In fact, you who took, I feel, a little shot at me, finished your sentence by saying that Nick Gromicko, who owns stock in Porch.com, admitted that the only reason you know that is because I was transparent about it.
I don't think it was a shot. It's just the facts.
I mean, 50,000 posts on, literally 50,000, probably more. I haven't checked this in a year, on my own message board. Do you know any association head that is more accessible than me? Do you know anybody answers his emails more than me? Puts up more message board posts, answers more questions, goes on Facebook more often, goes to more events than me?
Nope. You're right,
Okay,
Nick. I just want transparency.
If I was trying to snooker you somehow, with this Porch deal or whatever you conspiracy theorists are out there coming up with, would it make any sense at all for 4 hours after I invest quietly in a
I agree with all that, Nick.
In a privately held company, to just go online and explain that I did it and why?
I agree with that,
it would make
but
no sense.
I would just like transparency of what value is being extracted, so when I sell this, I can explain that to them, and there's no surprises.
Well, I only aiming at one value. What you've done is you've pointed out that there may be other ways that value exists in there. When, silver is a byproduct of gold. So when gold miners, mine for gold and they have a prospect to figure out how much gold's in the mountain, and they mine it, they also get some silver out of it as well. You pointed that out. That's just a fact. It's true. But it is nothing against me, the fact that you pointed out a fact. I mean, it's true that there's other value in there, but you haven't. But it throws no dirt in my face. I told you what I was trying to do. I'm trying to get the leads so that we can at least every now and then. I mean, look, forever real estate agents are going to order home inspections, but for every now and then, wouldn't it be nice if we got to our own client base once in a while first? Wouldn't it be nice to win the race first once in a while?
I agree with you, Nick, but I need to be able to tell.
Don't you think that it might change our ability to raise our own fees to where they should be with all the liability we have to take? For God's sakes, I'm standing right now talking to you, next to you, $1 million I spent building a house of horrors so that people could train. I now have two of them, another one in Florida, just to help inspectors get better. All the stuff we have to know. There's like thousands of defects in this house I'm standing next to. All of that stuff we have to to know, and we have to go to a real estate agent that got their license in 10 days to reach our own client base. Is this even reality? It sounds absurd to me. And as for me me going ahead and doing something that a few members don't like, I will tell you that my inbox last year got blown up with people saying the following: Nick, I'm in houses of defects all day long. Our whole industry is. The last thing you need to throw $1 million, and I was up to $1.5 million with the two houses of horse. The last thing you need to do is to spend $1.5 million of membership money building yet one more house full of defects for us to go into. We go into houses full of defects for a living every day. Don't do it. So if I'd have looked at all 3,000 of those emails that said don't do it, don't build something, the exact thing that we have to go into every day for a living, we wouldn't have these two fabulous training facilities for our industry. Multi-inspector firms would have no way of taking a junior inspector and training him quickly. Right now, they all send them here, and when we send them back to that multi-inspector firm, we get report after report where the owner of the company says, you sent that junior inspector back to us, and on the first day back, he was pointing out all the stuff our lead inspector was missing. The only way you can gather this much experience because our industry requires experience, unlike real estate sales.
Right.
The more experienced you are, the better you are. So when it takes years to be a good home inspector up until now.
Right.
Now you can sort of get a jump start and see thousands of defects, see basically a century's worth of experience in one day.
Right.
So there's defects here that we installed. We can't even find them ourselves anymore. We lost track of them all.
I agree with everything you say, Nick. You've given a great.
What I'm saying is those 3,000 emails, had I read them, had I listened to them, our industry would be much poorer in terms of training.
Right.
Would still be going to these schools where you sit in a metal chair. Every now and then you get a cigarette break or a coffee break, and you'll listen to somebody in front of a PowerPoint presentation while the guy in the front row stands up and tells you his war story about something he saw. That's what our training has been for 20 years. Do you want everything in our industry to stay the same? If you don't want these to change everything so that we can start raising our fees in our industry, then you're probably an ASHI member. Oppose this program.
All right. I agree with most of what you said. I'm not sure about that last part, but without taking a shot at you, Nick, I will go sell this thing for you if you could just give me something, the complete transparency of what value is going to be extracted so I can sell that to my real estate agent.
I agree.
Just if you can give that, I'll be over here with some pom-poms.
That you quoted, remember you linked to my announcement, I did, on Facebook. You quoted my announcement. It has a year in the first sentence. It was 2018. So I want to thank all my members who are critical of everything I do at InterNACHI, because they are the ones who help us build programs that work and plug all the holes. And sometime in 2018, we'll have this working and all the holes plugged, I pray.
All right, Nick. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. And, I admire the fact, and again, he didn't get the questions ahead of time. So definitely that's admirable. And I appreciate you, sparring with me. And I joked before that there was a big build-up for this, that Nick and I probably could have got a pay-per-view. And although my arms could do 80 pounds, you were a former boxer, so I don't know.
Thank you, Preston. And I just want to say that I'm very pleased to have sparred with you in your podcast rather than in the ring with those big arms.
Me too, brother. Me too.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Nick.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.